The points certainly don't tell the whole story of our first two rounds. Johnston and Seitz have both had poor finishes and both had wins. But Verity sits atop the charts on 2 second places. Yet the most recent of those involved a bit of luck due to Nick's misfortune in lapping traffic. And if ever there was a place where you need some luck, I'd say Phoenix would be it. Let's see who can avoid the mayhem on the oval as we get ready to watch round 3 of the PRL Indy Pro 2000 series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Phoenix International Raceway has built up quite a history, despite not being in an area traditionally known for ovals. Let's head to our track guide to learn more.
Welcome to the Valley of the Sun and Phoenix Raceway. Located about 15 minutes west of downtown Phoenix at the base of the Estrella Mountains, Phoenix Raceway opened in 1964. Phoenix is known for its unique tri-oval layout, and in 2011 underwent a facelift for the first time in its history, adding banking to both corners while opening up that dogleg into a high bank sweeping corner with lots of room down on the apron. This resulted in a drastic change in racing here in the desert. The original layout called for using the sweeping turns 3 and 4 to set up a pass in the out-braking zone entering turn 1. But the new layout, especially with the NASCAR-style cars and an open dogleg, encourages quite the opposite, as several different entry lines now exist for turns 3 and 4, often allowing for side-by-side racing and better passing opportunities on the back half of the track. Now, the renovated layout still possesses many risks to over-eager drivers here at Phoenix. The apron in turns 3 and 4 can be especially slick on an open-wheel car. And don't forget the wall on corner exit. Turn 4 has claimed many aggressive drivers throughout the years. That wall just kind of feels like it pops out and grabs you at times. And while the changes here have helped make racing more competitive, the age-old rule, of course, still applies. Track position is king. Get out in front, you're sure to have an easier time navigating this tricky track. So what do you say? Why don't we hike up Rattlesnake Hill, grab your virtual chair, and settle in for what's sure to be a great show.
This is a track that has seen some changes, and we are on the updated version, but not the most recent in the real world. Still, we've seen these Indy Pro 2000s race here before, so why don't you give us a refresher here, DJ, on what it's going to be like trying to drive them around this place?
Well, Joe, if the past has proved us anything here in the Indy Pro 2000 Series, it is going to be tricky. This is a track that is notorious in open wheelers for being a finesse track. You've really got to be careful easing onto the throttle around turn one after quickly brushing the brakes. You can't get on the throttle too early or it will be oversteer city and you will be up and out into the wall. Also, in the very, very low banked turn three, that long 180-degree corner as they come around, you've got to be just as equally patient. There's going to be a lot of disrupted air tonight. We've got a very big field looking at about 38 cars, and so it's all got to be about patience, not getting on too early and not really looking for a chance to pass, but just looking for a way to survive the carnage that seems to follow these Indy Pros at Phoenix.
We'll get to that in a minute. Before we do, we want to remind you that today's race is brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net.
The PRL Indy Pro 2000 Series is also brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Now, the championship, as I mentioned, is a bit weird, especially for the Pro Championship, because Verity is our top driver and has two top fives. In fact, both of them second places, but has not won yet. Greg Seitz has won one last round at Barber. He rebounded from Long Beach, managed to take the victory by some margin. Guyon and McLaughlin are tied for third place. And then you get to Nick Johnston, who won round one at Long Beach. He also ran into trouble. It was just simply just the wrong place at the wrong time at the very end of the race and lost, but would have been second place and probably easily the championship lead for him. J.R. Williams and Takashi Keita round out your top five. We'll see if that changes after today, especially considering that we are on an oval, which will throw up some unusual results if we're used to anything in the past. Meanwhile, we have the AM Championship. DJ, how are we sitting there?
Well, Tyler Gore, there you can see, is sitting atop a much tighter championship here in the AM. Only 3 points back from him, Kyle Stritcharts, and Sean Duhamel only 9 points back. So a very, very tight battle there across the board. Matthew Gunderson sitting in fourth, only 6 points back of Duhamel. And Brett Accord, the independent driver, really putting a good claim here on in this season. He has 18 points back the leader, but only third. Only 3 points off of Matthew Gunderson. So very, very tight battle here across the board.
And for today's race, going to be slightly different from our typical race since we usually see these cars on road courses. So it is round three, as we mentioned. It is 120 laps, but it is still time limited. 55 minutes is as long as the race can go. And since cautions are on, it can run into the time limit. They have drive-through penalties if they hit 11 incidents and a complete disqualification at 20. With these being open wheelers, it'll be a little surprising if we get anybody who runs over it, but it's not impossible. Bonus points are up for grabs at a pole, a fastest lap, or 3 incidents or less. Now, they're not doing qualifying right now like we typically have with the road courses. They are actually still in the warm-up, and then we'll run to the qualifying session, which will, instead of being 2 laps long, will actually have 4 laps that they can try and run in this series. They'll get 5 minutes for that one. One thing, excuse me, we also need the team points here. Let's go through those real quickly. It currently up at the top has Blown Tranny Racing just a single point over VHR Racing Team 1. Rust Racing and SRT Esport Blue tied for 3rd, and then it's another single point gap back to 4th place. Moving Chicane Motorsports are giving them a fight for that one, where Lavoie is only 10 behind overall, 2 behind the next one up. Team championship very much up for grabs still here early in the season. So the good news is that even though it is difficult at this track, that compared to previous seasons where we've raced here, DJ, it's quite early in the morning and very cool.
That's right. The administrators have changed back the time, cooled the track temperature down, so only sitting about 68 degrees Fahrenheit. That desert heat actually playing to drivers' advantage here. You see that 6-mile-an-hour wind out of the southwest and very low humidity at 35%. So what that's going to mean is that one of the characteristics of Phoenix is always the slipping and sliding of those cars. I talked about a little bit at the top, the rear tires not really being able to grip up and get around the track. But with these low tire temperatures, you're not really going to have that problem. There's going to be a lot more grip to be had, and you'll be able to get around here much simpler and much easier. And we've seen from the early stages of this practice session, it looks like these guys are having a lot easier go of it here today.
Up at the top, it's been a little bit interesting, though. Julio Palacio currently holding the quickest time in our warm-up. Seitz is up there. He's in 3rd, and it's Adam Wright in 2nd. Collender in 4th place, but he's not our highest AM. That goes to Adam Wright, actually, currently. But again, we said this can switch things up, throw some unusual results around, not just because it is a bit of a chaotic race typically for this series, but also because you get some drivers who are a little bit more skilled in one discipline over the other sometimes.
Exactly, and this series does prize road racing over ovals, but ovals has been a proud part of it. So we've seen some alternate winners in races like this. I mean, who could forget the Gateway race last year when we were getting green towards the end and it turned into a fuel strategy race? Absolutely spectacular. So an oval round like this, definitely you're going to have to use your head if it stays green, as we're looking at about a 2-stop race if we stay green. Pretty unlikely that we are going to be able to run without any caution, though, Joe.
I'm not counting anything out, but I'm with you. I expect there to be at least a few today. Crossing fingers, it does have plenty of green flag racing, though. Warm-up now finishes up, and we get started on our qualifying. Everybody gets their own individual track, even though they are running these qualifying laps simultaneously, but they will not disrupt one another, and it will be equal footing for everybody. Just if you're not used to iRacing, basically, they all get to have their own separate version of the circuit at the same time. Let's see who is going to be out and running the first official lap here. I think Christopher Richards is going to be the first one to set a time as he just starts on his flying lap.
And there you see him working through that turn 1. I talked about being late onto the throttle. Richards taking a little bit of a shallow exit there out of turn 1. Normally you want to see that car push up the track a little bit more, use as much exit as you can. But here you see him coming around, working his way around. He's going to be in with a 24 dead. That is the first time set.
Quickly being disrupted by McLaughlin and Menino, who go in front of him. Now we got Helm and Wright, and they are absolutely flooding in as everybody else wants out there as soon as possible with the track as cool as possible. Guyon currently leads it at no, he does not. Nguyen, who is quick in the warm-up, comes out and takes the provisional pole away from Guyon.
And Adam Wright, not to be outdone, he sets the new fastest lap of the race with a 23.528. Here you see Donald Olsen coming across to start the start-finish line. He is currently 24th. Looks like he is going to be bumped down to 27th, but here comes David Menino. He's been very strong in the last couple of races. Looks like he's been able to find a little bit of a time there, bump his way up 2 spots into 5th.
Watching one of our quick runners from last season, Declan Eady. He gets it up to 7th in his first lap. Looks like Guyon goes a little bit quicker on his 3rd lap. So these tires seem to take a bit to come up to the desired temperatures. We're watching Exton now, who just got bumped to 15th and then 16th, but goes back up to 10th with his final lap.
And there you see Frank Nguyen putting a good time in again. Looks like Broomhead is off by a couple of hundredths of a second. Here comes Donald Olsen, and he's been bumped down to 30th, but he crosses the line with a 23.9, about a half a tenth faster. That'll move him up to 29th, so not a massive improvement there from Olsen, but here comes Edie. Edie's been a dark horse on these ovals. He's going to cross the line 4 thousandths off his fastest time. He's currently 7th.
And Greg Seitz has managed to put it into 2nd place, so he'll start on the front row. He'll be looking for another championship here if he can help it this season. Takashi Keita, I think, is coming around to set his first time in the number 30. Let's see what he can do after some great performances this season. A 24 flat is only going to put him into 34th, so a little bit down compared to what we've seen out of him in rounds 1 and 2.
Well, and Keita is a very experienced oval driver. We've seen him in a couple other series across GSRC, so I'm going to attribute that first lap to lap time. You see him coming out of turn 3 there. Good lines coming off the corner. He's going to come in with a 23.5. That's a little bit more of what I would expect from Takashi. He comes in at 6th. Here comes Don Bowden to come across the line off his fastest time by 0.02 of a second. He will stay back in the 30s, but here comes Vargas to now cross the line.
Vargas in 20th. And that one's not going to be faster. Keita up to P6 with his 2nd lap. What's this one going to be like? A little bit slower, and he's going to abandon it from here. So Keita not happy with how the rest of the qualifying looks. Bowden also not able to improve. No, he was able to improve on that last lap by a couple tenths, actually. 23.9 for him. Now, I think we're essentially just waiting for Sammy Bridges, who also pulls over and not with a time on the board. In fact, he and Nick Johnston, the only two not to set a time so far in this qualifying. As we start to run out, I think that's going to be it. Now, Sammy jumped back out. He has. Okay, I think he's going to be able to sneak at least one in, but only one.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I don't know about that, Joe. His time's winding down very close. This is going to be tight for him, but he crosses the line. This is going to be a good way to watch how this car goes around the track. One of the particularities in these open wheel cars at Phoenix is the lowest line through 1 that you saw there. Not always the fastest. It's sometimes a lot faster to run a little bit wider, but here he goes, comes down, flirt with that yellow line out of 3. Let's see what Sammy, nope, they're going to call him off.
Oh, just missed it by a couple seconds. So that is our grid set with Frank Nguyen in the pole position. Greg Seitz will start next to him in 2nd. Adam Wright behind them on row 2 to the inside, and Declan Eady able to get it up to 4th. Alex Guyon starts B5 with Takeshi Keita in the 6th spot. Claude Remillard will start 7th, and Michael Broomhead in 8th. And it's Luis Gonzalez Nunez has the highest oval I rating of anybody in here. He'll start P9, and Aaron Roofs rounds out your top 10.
In 11th will be David Menino, followed by Olivier Legault. Jacob Exton, the AND driver, lining up in unlucky 13, followed by Stephen Verity. Julio Palacio and Christopher Smorrell are going to be in row 8. Following them will be Brett Thurman and Nicholas Colander. Bart Cook and Lucio Vargas, though, will round out the next 10 in row 10.
Adam Helm will be first, followed by Barry Cochran in 22nd. Owen McLaughlin in 23rd, and Brian Hotham in 24th. And it's Brett Accord to the inside of the next row with Mitch Mullins in 26th spot. P27 goes to Daniel Barnett and Neil Alexander in 28th. Christopher Richards starts 29th, and Matthew Gunderson rounds out your top 30.
In 31st is going to be Don Bowden, followed by Paul Wildridge. Behind them, Donald Olsen and Sean Duhamel. Tyler Gore and David Hebert will make out the field of those who qualified. Nicholas Johnson in the top 5 of our point standing did not set a time here, and you saw Sammy Bridges unable to set it as well.
Well, I think the lack of familiarity with the oval qualifying has caught a couple drivers out. At least one has set in the chat that he forgot that they had 4 laps. That was Aaron Roofs. And then Takashi Keita didn't put enough fuel in for 4 laps. So that's why we got some drivers who quit a little bit early out here as we wait for the Mustang pace car to lead them around. 120 laps today. Going to be a lot to deal with. I mean, DJ, what are your expectations here? We've both been a little bit doomsaying behind the scenes, but I know I genuinely do hope that we get a good one.
I do too, Joe. This is one of my favorite ovals in American oval racing. I have been to this track several times. It always puts on a good show. If they are able to stay green, I think you're going to see a very tight battle. With these low temperatures, I think that's going to mean that guys are going to be able to make some really interesting moves. We're not going to see some massive tire wear across the board there. You see that track temp ticking up just a little bit to 69 degrees Fahrenheit. But I hope we are able to stay green. There's been a lot of guys in here this year, but pace car's off. We're ready to go.
With 38 cars, green flag is out, and Frank is off in the number 97. Good jump for him as they slowly pick up speed down into the first corner. Sight's going to chop off Adam Wright behind him in second and actually get underneath our leader as Frank stays up high through the tri-oval portion. It's going to be a side-by-side fight into 3 and 4. The shorter line going to Sights is going to allow him to solidly take the lead.
And Joe, very tricky to keep momentum up around that final corner, that low banking, just centrifugal force, very hard to keep up. That's a little bit too high of a line there for Frank to win. I talked about high line.
Oh, big wreck. Sorry.
Big wreck in the back.
Car on its lid. I'm trying to find it. That is, oh my goodness, it's Nunez, our highest rated oval driver. Unfortunately, is going to have to come to pit lane with a lot of damage, and they do not have a spare car. I think he's going to get hit in the side by Claude Remillard.
So there we watch Nunez on the outside here, coming along through that corner. Oh, Remillard just did not see him there at all. Great job of a lot of the drivers in the back to avoid. Looks like a relatively one-car incident, though. So Nunez just having the unfortunate luck there, Remillard not seeing him. Nunez, a very experienced oval driver, knows how to make that outside line work through 1 and 2.
Kind of amazed that it didn't seem like anybody else really got too caught up in it. I do see Mitch Mullins down in the pits, and I think that's because he bunked the wall a little bit out of 1 as everybody tried to check up. Otherwise, everybody stays out with just about a lap and a half of at-pace driving. There's the number 15 for Nunez. So he's going to have to sit in there for lengthy repairs after tumbling side over side after hitting the wall. Sights your new leader. Declan Eady up into P2 after that, and Adam Wright is into 3rd. Oh, we got another taker on pit lane, Neil Alexander.
Joe, I don't think Alexander had really any contact, so that may just be a bit of a strategy play from him. Maybe coming in, trying to top off the car a little bit. He was running pretty low in the field, so there's not a lot he would lose by doing that. But track's position oftentimes is king here at Phoenix, so you don't want to be making too many stops down that pit lane.
Let's check on our points leader, because Stephen Verity is actually down in 14th. Not looking too great right now. He hasn't gained anything. He hasn't lost anything. But he's in the mid-pack, and we've already seen the evidence of the dangers of being in that mid-pack. There is plenty of 3 and 2 wide throughout the fields in those opening laps. And if drivers are not wary, they can easily clip one another, and doesn't seem like accidents tend to be very small based on what we saw there.
No, they do not. With a pack this big and as a relatively narrow of a track that Phoenix is, if there is an accident, it's really going to collect a lot of people. So Verity's got to be very, very careful, as does Nicholas Johnston. Another guy to come down pit lane to try to tie top off. Very strange there to see him not even set a qualifying time.
Now, here's what's interesting. I'm going to pull from last night where we had the trucks in the PRL at Myrtle Beach, and that was another race that saw a lot of cautions, unfortunately. One of the drivers stopped very, very early without anybody else behind him stopping and gave away the lead, and he wound up fighting for a podium at the very end. So this isn't necessarily a bad call when there's expected to be a lot of cautions. As we come back green, and Greg Seitz gets a good jump over everybody else, single file, obviously, with this being open wheelers on this restart. Edie following him through 1 and 2 as Adam Wright pulls up the rear of the podium. So far, so good through the field.
Yeah, everybody looking very calm, cool, and collected, but we've got a spinner in the back. That's Michael Broomhead, just absolutely lost it on the entrance, and lots of guys checking up behind. We've got multiple cars into the wall. I think that was a secondary incident behind Broomhead.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find it. We're going to watch Broomhead first, and yes, his was completely by himself. Yeah, I think the other one involved Jacob Exton, if we want to get that one spooled up after this. Is the number 22.
Yeah, you can see there Broomhead just didn't get the bite off the corner. Yeah, it looks like Exton just came in. Couple of guys just absolutely flying into that wall. Almost reminiscent of the failed US 500 race back in the 90s for kart. So here is Exton on board. Let's see what happens here. Goes to the outside like Broomhead does. And a literal identical accident to Broomhead. Just loses it on the outside of 3.
And bizarrely, those cars running into him are, I think, experiencing the same thing. That was Olivier Legault that suddenly smashes into that. And, actually, you know what? Legault tried to go down to the apron, and that's what spun him out and caught him into that mess. Everybody else behind, unfortunately, saw 4 or 5 cars spinning, and obviously they had to scatter. So just the chaos reigned supreme, and there wasn't much you could do if you were flying into it.
Indeed it does, Joe. You know, when you're driving an oval like this, one of the things that is most difficult to do is not focus on an accident when it's happening in front of you. I attributed the quote to AJ Foyt. I've heard it a million times from other people, so who knows who actually said it, but there is always the quote of when you see an accident, don't watch the accident, watch where you need to go. And a lot of times what that actually means is you point the car where the car that is wrecking is, because that car will inevitably start moving as it ping-pongs across the track. But if you focus in on the accident wholeheartedly, your eyes will stick to it and you'll see a mistake there like you did from Exton.
A lot more cars have been down pit lane now. Many are taking repairs. Broomhead, Legault, Helm, Collender. They are all stopped in their box. Looks like Nunez has come back in after returning briefly. I'm amazed he's gotten out this quickly. Mitch Mullins has actually since returned as well. So let's see. Johnston, having taken what we think is a scheduled stop, is coming down pit lane again.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I'm looking back on the replay. Doesn't look like he's taken any sort of repairs or anything. I think he was able to escape that relatively well. Joe, I think he's just topping off on fuel every time in.
I think you're right. He's playing the long game here. This could wind up being pretty savvy. Now, again, he is at the back of the field, and that makes him susceptible. But if he can keep the car clean, he could find himself switching up to the front when everybody else eventually has to pit for fuel. That's if we don't have too many cautions here today. We're only on lap 10. We've already had a couple of big wrecks, sadly. Seitz is still your leader for those curious. Edie second and Wright third. Didn't see any change among them. Our pole sitter, Nguyen, down to fourth, and not looking as quick in race pace, or at least not since we've had what little green flag racing we've had. That could change as the stint progresses, but we'll keep an eye on that 97, see if that changes around.
Yeah, one of the tricky things of running ovals, as I talked about, that dirty air and the wind back and forth, going to be getting a lot of it from sights Edie and right. So we'll have to see how he does. But there's the green. We're getting ready to go here again at Phoenix.
Waiting for it. All of them up on the high side, and sights is off. Green flag is out as they accelerate away. I think Nguyen might actually lose his spot. It was awful close between himself and Guyon. And apparently there was an incident where Nick Johnston had to duck underneath somebody who wrecked, but I guess we won't get a caution for it. And it sounds like some of them might be getting a black flag because of it from the automated system. We'll see if the stewards decide to clear that or if they will have to serve it. We get another caution. That is Bowden, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right. Ooh, and there's Johnson again, narrowly avoiding Bowden. Parked up on the high line. We're going to jump back to the replay here to see it. That's Bowden in the center of your screen and just loses it. This looks like it's going to be the story of the race here, Joe. Ooh, and that's somebody else losing it right ahead of them. When you go into turn 3, you cannot put the power down too early. Let's watch it. Yeah, he just tries to keep it absolutely flat up on the higher line there. You cannot drive that corner flat out, even if you're in clean air. You have got to feather the throttle a little bit.
Bad news. Johnson is actually extremely damaged as you see him go by. He slid trying to avoid the wreck, hit the wall. Smorol also spun, didn't hit anything, but is still going. Johnston has retired. So our winner from round 1, having a miserable follow-up to what was a great start to the season, as I think we're still lights on the pace car, so we should still at least have this one more lap under yellow.
And there you see them crossing over the line. A lot of drivers just very helpfully talking about some strategy of just, hey, be careful. We do have low tire temps. Make sure you ease into it. Like you saw there with Bowden, that is a very, very late race maneuver, going flat out through 3 like that. You do not want to do that if your tires are still a little bit cold. So everybody just kind of helping each other out. Everybody wanted to see a good, clean race here and stay green as long as possible in Phoenix.
Hearing a little bit of chatter about some of the black flag penalties that the drivers are experiencing, one of which it sounds like Alexander maybe came down pit lane and was committed to it just as the caution came out, so that it gave him a penalty for that one. Oh, yeah, he's talking about he's got a penalty for entering the closed pit and one for passing underneath the driver who wrecked on the restart, which we still haven't identified. Neil Alexander just not having the greatest of days, it seems.
Sometimes, Joe, everything goes right when you're out on a racetrack, and sometimes absolutely nothing does. And Neil Alexander clearly having one of the latter days.
Okay, can we get some green flag racing? This honestly jives with what we've seen in some of the previous races here with the Indy Pro 2000s at Phoenix. The spinning cars have been a real problem, just trying to get the tires up to temperature and try to get them under control. Again, not everybody here is used to ovals. Now, they've all obviously done quite a bit of practice in trying to get up to this, but it's one thing to just be out there and practice, DJ, and it's another thing to actually be in the race.
Very, very much so. And, we always talk about in these Indy Pro 2000 cars, the lack of downforce that they have. We're not running IndyCar or Formula One style front and rear wings that are generating massive amounts of downforce. You don't have the tunnels under the car to suck the cars into the track. They're a much simpler car. And while, yeah, a lot of times that does make for very, very good racing, it means that you are more prone to slip and slide over the track at high speeds. And that's exactly what you get at an oval like this. We've seen at Gateway, they're able to run a little bit more open, that final corner, a little bit more conducive to some racing with these cars. They're a whole lot of fun here at Phoenix, but if you throw a little bit of dirty air into the equation, it takes off what little downforce you have, and it gets very, very difficult to control.
Looks like lights are out on the pace car, so Seitz will get the green flag this time by as we come down the backstretch into 3 and 4. All right, who has learned their lesson? We've already lost a number of drivers. Helm, Bowden, Johnston have all officially retired. Broomhead, Barnett, and Gunderson have been taking repairs. Gunderson looks like he's just getting out of pit lane now, so he may go a lap down as the green flag comes out, and Greg Seitz is off like a shot. Behind him, Declan Eady is pulling along Adam Wright ever closer in the slipstream, but they run out of straightaway before turns 1 and 2.
And Frank Nguyen, again, not having the best of starts for our pole sitter. He looks to be under attack from Alex Guyon, but able to fend it off a little bit. There you see some multiple lines, but we have another caution here, Joe.
This one appears to be from Mitch Mullins, I think. Mitch Mullins, yeah, he seems to have spun it on his own. And there was also another incident that we'll want to watch after this. I want to say it was Smorall again involved in the other one. There you see him there, yeah. And there's the spin from Mullins. Smoralls was getting into the back of Sean Duhamel and getting squeezed into the wall there.
Here, we're going to jump on board with Smorl. This is off the restart. Ooh, very aggressive, has to check up there behind the 63 of Sammy Bridges, but able to get a mega run down the outside. And yeah, Duhamel just didn't see him coming. Little bit of an opportunistic move from Smorl, but he is entitled to do that. The way the iRacing system works is that you are allowed to make up spots on the outside of a restart. If somebody leaves you that advantage, you can go up there. So Smorl entitled to do it, but I just don't think Duhamel expected him to make that aggressive of a move.
I mean, the way things have been going, yeah, I agree he's entitled to it. I feel like maybe it was a little bit foolhardy, just because there's already been quite a bit of chaos in these few laps. So I don't know. Who am I to judge? Because it's easy to say it from up here in the booth, but when you've got the visor down, I'm sure the adrenaline takes over.
Oh, for sure. And, you know, you can sit here and sort of play Monday morning quarterback all you want, and I get that. But when you are down there, if you see even that inkling of an opportunity, you've got to go for it. And I will also say I understand Smorl's mindset as he goes into that move. We've seen yellow after yellow after yellow. The chances to overtake are not really there. And so if he's got an opportunity, he's going to go for it. So I get it. Discretion always the better part of valor a lot of times in racing, but when you're down there, you've got adrenaline. It's the Senna quote. If there's a gap, you've got to go for it.
We're getting a little bit more chatter over the radio. Verity talking to, I think, Sean Duhamel ahead of him, who he's noting has a little bit of damage on the rear of the car from that touch before. Verity, by the way, our points leader, is now down to 24th, but he has taken what looks to be, well, actually, that might have been a pit stop for repairs, because that was about 42 seconds. So regardless, he should have been able to take his tires and fuel during that time. So I think he can go to the end, most likely, from here, unless we get green flags all the way to the end, of course.
Exactly, and we've seen a couple of times that these some amazing pit strategies these guys have been able to do. I think it was either Phoenix, maybe Gateway 2 seasons ago when they were able to do it on a no-stopper. But as we see, the pace car lights are out, 1 lap to green here, so hopefully we can get a nice clean restart, get up to some clean racing, because we've seen the front half of this field be very fun and aggressive as they try to make some moves.
Naturally, with so many drivers dropping out, we have had some hard chargers. Lucio Vargas sits in 11th when he started in 20th. I look just a couple spots back, and coming up to 14th, we have Brian Hotham from 24th. Also 25th to 15th for Brett Accord just behind him. 29th to 17th for Christopher Richards as well. And how about this one? Here we go. 33rd to 19th for Donald Olsen.
Mega run there from Donald as we see the pace car come on in. We're ready to go.
And we are off. Greg Seitz takes the green flag down the front stretch. We haven't really had much more than a lap and a half of green flag racing. Can we get more than that in? As we come through 1 and 2, I'm watching the field, seeing if everybody's going to be safe this time. Oh, we already got a spinner. There it is. It's Sean Duhamel. Maybe that damage must have got a little bit of a suspension.
Yeah, and you can see the car steering very poorly there, trying to come down the track. Duhamel's day pretty clearly done as he's going to take a tow right there. We jump back to replay. Looks like he just got up and into the wall. You can see how that car is sort of crabbing. So here we go. This is the incident itself. Duhamel thinks about it, has to check up a little bit and just slam on the brakes and locks up ever so slightly, and that sends him out to the outside retaining barrier.
So with him taking a tow, it is possible for him to get back out on the track, but we'll see if he elects to do so, especially with how many cautions we've had. I wonder if they're going to recommend drivers maybe not try to get back out and run here just to try and clean things up a little bit. We're waiting on Matthew Gunderson to return in the number 33. He's been sitting in pit lane for about 5 minutes with everybody banging away on that machine. Smorol we've lost since we had that one caution involving him. Otherwise, all the others that I've mentioned are the only retirees we have. Everybody who was taking repairs has tried to return.
And they are entitled to do so, and a lot of times you can get this car at least going up to a clip where it will be at least able to hold on to the back of the leaders. But Joe, you talked about it at the beginning. In these open wheel cars, if you even make the most minor contact with the outside wall, it may seem like the car's steering just fine, but you will be losing tenths of a second a lap, and it's such a short track like Phoenix, that is just deadly.
Right, let's see if we can get this thing going here. We're on lap 24. You know, honestly, I've stopped counting the cautions. I've lost track of where we are at this point on them. And if anybody in the peanut gallery is keeping track, shoot us a note, because it's been numerous ones this time. We didn't get through the first lap of that green flag stint. We haven't through many of these. We're going to take a quick break at least to see if the drivers can re-rack and come back and get some clean running in. Stick around, because we've got more to come here in round 3 of the PRL Indy Pro 2000 series. Welcome back to Phoenix Raceway, and this track has seen a little bit of some messy racing here for round 3 in the PRL Indy Pro 2000 series, but we're seeing if we can turn that around, and Greg Seitz is going to take the restart on lap 27. Mustang pace car is in, and Greg accelerates away ahead of Declan Eady in second and Adam Wright in third. The cars have been very tough to drive on the cold tires on these restarts, and that has caused many of our yellows so far. I'm watching them plunge through 1, through the back stretch, and down towards 3. I'm not seeing any spinners this time through, so maybe we'll actually get to the start-finish line this time. Greg Seitz down and across. Those behind him coming off of 3, looking good so far. Nope, we got a caution. That is Brett Accord.
Yeah, Brett Accord just looking like he lost it in turn 3, like we've seen a couple of guys do. There you can see the wreckage of that incident from Accord. Him obviously taking a quick tow back to the pits. We're going to jump back to the replay here. That's Accord in the center of your screen. It looks like he crosses over, gets a little bit too flirty with that line, has to check up and slam on the brakes. So, Joe, I stand corrected. A little bit different incident than what we've seen normally here today. Looks like he just had to sort of check himself, carried too much speed through that corner.
Yeah, that was Hotham in front of him in the number 27. Yeah, a little bit of the reaction and maybe a little bit of what you mentioned, going very low down at the bottom. Could have touched that apron ever so slightly, and that certainly wouldn't have helped. And that was a hard enough hit. That might be it for Hotham now. Or not Hotham, Accord rather, I should say.
So
Hotham
it looks
actually
like
still running.
Yeah, Hotham's all good. I don't think Hotham was able to, or Hotham suffered any damage from that. But good job from everybody to get through turn 1. Even a couple of side-by-side battles through the back of the field there. So people getting racy here. Everybody knows, unfortunately, that you've got to try to make some moves here, as we don't know what will end up happening in terms of cautions, if we will continue to have these cautions plague the field, or if we'll be able to get some good green flag running where some passing can get made.
Theoretically, the field thins itself out enough, and eventually it'll get to green flag racing because there's not enough cars to cause problems. But I don't want us really to get to that point. I'd like to see the drivers be able to manage it and get more people racing out there. Lap 30, which is appropriate because we only have actually 30 minutes left already in today's race, despite not even hitting halfway in terms of lap, not even close to halfway, honestly, in terms of laps.
No, it's been a little bit of a slog here for the series, but I have faith that once we get back up and going again, things can get a little bit better here at Phoenix. Greg Seitz continuing to control the field. We've seen him really be able to back up the field correctly, get the jump on Declan Eady and Adam Wright to hold that position down to himself. So good job for Seitz keeping your composure here at Phoenix.
We're currently at 31 cars still on track and running. Gunderson's still taking repairs. Accord is waiting to see if he has the ability to return. Daniel Barnett, currently our last driver running in the number 67. He is 11 laps down. But of our drivers that are still on the lead lap, we have 21 of them for what it is worth. Greg Seitz obviously leading them and has since early on in this race, despite not starting on the pole.
Yeah, Seitz able to take advantage of a bit of a lackluster start there for Frank Nguyen, who has fallen back through the field, but I will say on that last lap was able to set the fastest lap of the race with the 24.924. So Nguyen clearly starting to find a little bit more in this car as we have been able to run a few laps here under green. So he is one I think very much to keep an eye for, Joe.
And as they say, the cream tends to rise to the top. I'm looking through our points championship. Verity obviously still has a long ways to go since he's on a bit of an odd pit strategy, but Seitz, our second place, he is currently leading. Alex Guyon, who's third in the points, he sits fifth on the track. Owen McLaughlin, fourth in the points. Let's see, where is McLaughlin? He's down in 15th, so a little bit farther down. Nick Johnston had a bad start. Takashi Keita, seventh in the points. We mentioned him earlier. He's up in sixth place, so definitely drivers who know how to hold on for a season have found themselves avoiding many of the struggles out there. Looks like we're getting ready to go as they hold up to the very high side, and Greg Seitz waits for the green flag. Pace car's in. Seitz goes. There's the green flag.
And clean single file start from everybody on back. Nobody looking for too many aggressive moves down into turn 1. Seitz continues to lead as it looks like half the field has gotten through turn 1 as Seitz leads them down through the dogleg.
And they're getting more spread out on these restarts, so I guess everybody really is trying to make sure and give everyone as much space as possible. Just get the race going, and then we can go from there. But we got a caution. This one, Jacob Exton, who I'm pretty certain has been involved in one of our incidents already. This was, it's almost a carbon copy of what we saw before.
You see Exton pulling his way down into the pits. Yeah, that turn 3 incident, Joe, just coming back to bite once again. So there you see good side-by-side battle. Exton holding down to that inside line. Here he comes up behind those cars in front of him. That's Exton there in the 22, the blue car. Now we're going to see him dive down low. He's got the line. Oh, he just dove way too low onto the apron. Super aggressive move from Jacob. I think he would have had the space there if he had chosen to keep with it, but dove onto the apron, and you cannot make that transition easily.
That sends him down into pit lane on top of things. And that'll be another car potentially out for the day. So we're going to go under caution yet again. We're up to lap 35 at this point. We are 25 minutes to go. So we are actually past halfway in our time allotted. Again, if you're just joining us, it is limited by 55 minutes. So if we don't reach those 120 laps by the 55 minutes, the race is called, and whoever is in the lead on the next time by gets the checkered flag and takes the victory. So far, there's been very few opportunities for Declan Eady to take it away from Greg Seitz. So if you're Declan, do you start to try and get aggressive?
I think you have to, Joe. I think everybody in this top 5 has got to be super aggressive. Obviously, they know how to handle their cars quite well up at the pointy end of the field, and no real incidents in this top 10, really. So if I'm one of them, I've got to be just absolutely going for it, not knowing when that next yellow is going to come out. The only problem being is Greg Seitz has been able to time these cautions restarts so perfectly, nobody can get even close to him.
It's always one of those tough things when you're the leader, especially in single file restarts. I mean, you've got a built-in advantage essentially. So Declan is going to have to work very, very hard to try and outsmart someone like Greg Seitz, who knows what he's doing out here. So we come around yet again behind the pace car. Did we get Exton back out on track? Wow, I am kind of surprised. I thought Exton had plowed into the wall a little bit harder than that, but he's got the 22 on track and is going to line up in 22nd. He only lost a single lap.
If he's able to get that car going up and under speed, I'm going to be very impressed, Joe. I agree with you. I thought that was a pretty hard smack to the outside wall in turn 3, but clearly Jacob sees something that we don't. He's able to get the car going. There you see him catching up to the field and starting to slow down.
Okay, then. See how it fares for him as we wait for Greg Seitz to come around, as we get the
speed.
one to go signal. The lights go out on the pace car. I thought that was
a pretty hard smack to the outside.
Greg Seitz to come around. Last night, I mentioned the pace truck so many times in the truck series. I'm trying to be very cognizant that I say the pace car now. We're at 20 cars now left on the lead lap. David Hebert, the last among those, and the number 16. Hearing a little bit of chatter of drivers making sure they know that they're trying to stay out of the way, probably our damaged cars. Just giving everybody a heads up that they're going to stay low and let them legally pass them on the restart. Pace car is in, and our leader is off. Greg Seitz on the loud pedal. We accelerate down towards turn 1, but it's only 32 cars left doing so.
And once again, good, clean, single-file start from everybody. We'll have to see if they can get back around here, as there you see.
Pass for the lead.
Yep, that's a great move there by Declan Eady, putting that pressure on like we talk about. But here comes Seitz fighting back through 3.
Wow, what a call there from the 13. Made it look easy off of the first corner, powering by his rival. The Rust Racing driver of Greg Seitz already being left in the dust now that he's having to race in the dirty air.
That's very much what can happen here at Phoenix. Those that disruption of the draft as they work their way around Nicholas Collender there, you can see them, but this turning into a nice little battle now for P2 as things start to develop. There you see Frank Nguyen really hot on the tails of Adam Wright, but Declan Eady just absolutely pulling away. Very wide line there from Wright.
Side by side as well from Guyon and Roofs. This is for P6, P5 actually. They're down into turn 3 and 4. Roofs is going to have the inside, and I think he's going to get it. Oh, not quite. Guyon managing to power off that final turn, fights him down into the first corner, and once again making good use of his momentum. Great defense from the high side.
And that is exactly what I was talking about, Joe, about that high line working to advantage. But here comes Takashi Keita looking down the inside. Oh, we have a yellow.
It's Collender, the 973. This is out of turn 1. Another single car incident. Sorry, go ahead.
We saw Collender having a little bit of damage earlier. You see him there just staying out of everybody's way. He had jumped out of the way of the leaders very early on in that run. So here he goes down into turn 1, just absolutely loses the car. The way that car was performing, Joe, I have to think that there was already some pre-existing damage, as that was a very wicked snap.
So now Collender watches his race go down the drain, out of his namesake, and it seems that he might either have to take quite a few repairs to get the suspension and nose repaired, or just call it a night. We've got Declan Eady as our new leader after that short stint of green. Greg Seitz in second. Adam Wright retains third place. A few drivers heeding our advice and starting to get a little bit more antsy up at the front and try to make some moves, knowing that it doesn't look like they'll get too much green flag racing to do so.
You see the 18th place car of Paul Wildridge ducking into the pits. Looks like he's going to get a fresh set of tires and a little bit of fuel just to top off to be safe. You know, I do have to say, Joe, that last restart, it looked like everybody was going very, very well. And without that damaged car from Collender being out there, I think we could have kept going for a little bit longer. So I'm getting a little bit of faith restored here.
Yeah, that looked better than the previous ones, that is for sure. And great to see it wasn't because of everybody just kind of puttering around. There was some real racing going on at the top end of the field. So watch Paul Wildridge out of pit lane. You know, it almost is looking like that call that we saw at Gateway. It is looking like it might rear its ugly head again, and Verity might find himself embarrassed with his strategy because he's only up to 21st.
Yeah, it's not paying off as much as I think he would like it to at this point. So Steven's going to have to be very careful here. But what I'm really going to be watching for on this restart, Joe, we have seen how well Greg Seitz has timed these, but how does he do it when he is behind somebody else? Declan Eady now will control the pace as per the rules of the PRL League. He will have control of when to go and when to hold. So Seitz is going to have to watch him and react off of him rather than just going on his own, and that's going to be a very good battle. Is he going to get caught off guard? Will Adam Wright or maybe even our pole sitter Frank Nguyen be able to get a little bit of a move up the inside?
That's a good question. I hadn't even considered that. This will be the first time since the very start of the race that Seitz will have to try and restart behind another car. We've had 17 drivers who have not come in for pit stops, so it seems most of them seem to think it will go all the way to the finish without fuel, at least at this point, because we've only got 17 minutes left on the clock. And I'm feeling pretty certain that this is going to be a timed race.
Yeah, if they somehow manage to get it in on laps, I'm going to be amazed because somebody will have found a NOS button on the car. But lights are out on that pace car. We are ready to go green flag racing here again at Virtual Phoenix.
I was trying to do the quick math, and yeah, I don't think it is feasible because they still have something like 80 or 70 laps to go at this point. Yeah, 75 laps to go, I think, this time by for Declan Eady. And that's just way too many, even at 20 seconds a lap. Pace car is coming on in. And Declan, he's got a good start. He's been paying attention on Greg Seitz and what he's been doing, taking notes and accelerating away. Greg Seitz has no answer. But has Greg Seitz also been watching? It was a good run from Indy out of the first corner to try and attack the 74. Seitz goes do the same, but he's not looking quick currently. In fact, he's already got the number 87 closing in behind him. And side-by-side action back for about 5th, 6th, and 7th. Guy on, Roofs and Keita.
In the win, thought he was going to challenge there, but that battle for 5th, absolutely insane. There you see Guyon holding that outside line like we've seen him do, and Keita picking up where he left off, using a little bit of that car in front of Roofs as a pick, trying to get around him here. He's now going to go with Guyon on the high line, see if he can take a little bit of advantage of that draft. He's gonna be able to start pulling alongside. Oh, almost bang wheels down the front stretch.
I think they did. Into the wall goes Takashi Keita. Severe damage on that car, but he keeps it pointed forward. No caution. Let's take another look at it real quick. Wonder if Roof's got any damage on his suspension when they touched.
So there you see working through the dog leg as now they come onto this turn 3. Keita tucking up right behind Guyon, getting a good draft and waiting for the contact here. You see a little bit of a defensive move. Oh yeah, big dink there. A little bit of netcode, and we have a yellow out on track.
Yeah, Paul Wildridge in the number 9 is the cause of this one. And he also got some help. He'll get a little shove from behind. Neil Alexander finding himself coming a little too hot into the corner.
So that's Paul Wildridge in the middle of your screen here. Slow cars in front. He's checking up a little bit, and Alexander just not anticipating the patience of Wildridge, and that sends him spinning.
Just so difficult with this many cars on only a 1-mile track to try and avoid these sort of issues. I mean, even IndyCar with professionals out here doesn't take this many open wheelers to this track. 38 was quite a few, and we've still got 31 still running, which is still more than what we tend to see at the top flight of American open wheelers at this type of oval. Who else do we get? Anybody else maybe daring to pit in if they think we won't get to the finish from here? We've got 14 minutes to go. And we do have one taker, David Menino.
All right, interesting move there from Menino. I'm going to keep an eye on him here, see if he's just coming in for a bit of a top off, or maybe he thinks some new tires are the way to go. I can't imagine tire wear being too much of an issue for David here today, but no, I think what is interesting in terms of Greg Seitz up front is that we have just seen him very, very struggling in that second place position, not able to catch Edie and almost getting past Win and Wright. Very, very much on the back foot is the normally calm, cool, and composed Greg Seitz.
I mean, it could be that when setting up his car that he took sort of the Mercedes philosophy. Make it great in clean air. Don't worry about how it works when you're back in the pack, because he expected to be leading this race. And maybe that's now bit him once Edie managed to get around. We'll see if it repeats itself here on this next stint. Let's see, do we have the lights off yet on the pace car? No, they're still on. So we got at least 2 more laps to go in this next caution session. We're down to 16 cars left who have yet to stop.
And speaking of stoppers, I can report that Menino, on top of taking a top off of fuel, did also take a new set of tires. So that's going to be an interesting strategy for the number 3 driver.
I mean, if I'm honest, I feel like that's the way to go. Because if you're going to come in and give away that track position, you might as well just put fresh boots on.
Oh, no, there's no question, and I understand exactly the thought process. I mean, David wasn't that far up the field that he's not sacrificing mega position, and he's still in 19th spot, so he's going to have a chance to work his way by some guys here, and he will be the only one on that fresh set of rubber. So he'll have an advantage. The only caveat being is he's just got to be a little bit cautious on this first lap. Make sure he doesn't try to do something with super cold tires.
Now the lights go off on our Mustang pace car, restarting on lap 54. Your order at the top of the field right now: Edie, Seitz, Nguyen, Wright, and Guyon. Your top 5 right there. Our points leader, how's Verity doing? Still in 20th. And he wasn't all that high up. He started 14th and pitted early on. In fact, Verity's a lap down, I'm seeing. That's curious. To double check on that, see if he came in a second time. No, it's just the one stop. Must have been a little bit of a long one, seeing 42 seconds. And maybe he had a little bit of damage to repair. We'll try and assess that later. In the meantime, Declan Eady accelerates away with the lead. Green flag is out on lap 54 of round 3 for the PRL Indy Pro 2000 series. Into the first corner. We've been getting some slightly better restarts lately. Drivers looking like they've got a handle on things. I'm still keeping watch as they all go through there as our cameras stay on our top drivers. We have one spinner, that's Nick Collender, but there's nobody behind him. He's going to get off the racing line, no caution.
Fantastic. As you could see on that last lap, that was Aaron Roofs able to get the move finally done on Alex Guyon, so put Roofs up into P5. But this battle up at the front for P2 with him and Frank, with Nguyen and Seitz really starting to heat up as Nguyen to the outside.
And we got a caution. I think Bart Cook involved in this one. Looks like the 45 is going to self-spin once more and smack the outside of turn 1.
And we're going to watch the replay here. That is Cook in the center of your screen. Down to the inside. Here he comes. Dives it in a little bit too much, Joe. I think that's an issue of when you're coming on the inside like that, it's a less of a lifting off of the throttle. You may have to trail brake ever so slightly to get that car turned, and I think he just may have put a little bit too much heat into those brakes, caused the car to spin. What
surprised me and why I suddenly shouted out is the car looked like it was starting to lose itself very early into the corner. He barely steered into the thing, and it started to twitch. So something seemed to be quite wrong with that number 45. We'll try and suss that out a little bit later as we once again go under caution. Now, you, as that was happening, I heard you shouting about Nguyen. Was there a fight between himself and Wright, or was he attacking Seitz?
He was up attacking Seitz, and I actually misspoke. Nguyen was able to dive down to the inside of Seitz on the backstretch and take away that preferred line through 3. So our pole sitter clearly has some speed and has the courage to be willing to make those moves as this race goes along.
For those wondering, we have 8 minutes left on the clock now. So it's very much dwindling down, and that's, I think, you know, it might be the case where if we get one more caution here after this next restart, that might finish it. It all depends on how much time they have left when we come back to green, which I don't think we're going to get until at least 6 minutes to go.
I think that's about right, and I think your math is about right across the board that we are going to be under caution. If we go under caution again, that we will have a situation where we will not be able to get the rest of this race in under green, which would be a real travesty. We have seen the battles that could really shape up at the front of this field, and they are absolutely electric. Good driving, and it's just, you know, accidents in the back that have caused us to be under yellow for the majority of this race.
I do have sort of one silver lining to all of this. It looks like we will get past the halfway mark of laps that they were supposed to run. We'll get past lap 60 here in the race. Should be plenty of time for them to do that at the minimum. Lights are still on the pace car. I'm actually quite curious. I'm not sure if our director has this data, but I would love to know what the average lap time currently is in this race. Seeing if we can pull that information up. But in the meantime, as maybe the peanut gallery might have that too, so if anybody watching is in the session and can shoot that our way, would be sort of a funny note to what is maybe not quite as funny of a day for everybody who is actually inside the cars and has been trundling around for the majority of these laps. I think we got the lights off on the pace car this time, so we should be back to green here in a moment.
Well, and when we go back to green, I gotta say, Joe, watch that battle, 2nd through 5th. Very, very tight. We saw Roofs finally get the move on Guyon. I think he may try to make a move on Wright here with a couple of laps to go.
Cars up to the high side of the track, waiting for the green flag. Declan Edie staying patient. Pace car's in, and Edie is away. Green flag waves for our field. Will this be our final restart? It is 6 minutes to go, just seconds underneath it. How's that for a prediction? Looks very tight between 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th as they all trail behind Declan Edie.
Look, for a minute there like Frank Nguyen was going to have a run on Greg Seitz, but didn't end up working there. He loses a little bit of time in the middle of the corner, but look at the run off the line. There goes Nguyen flying by.
Did Seitz have to catch the car, or was he understeering there? Meanwhile, behind him, side by side between Wright and Roofs. Roofs not able to squeeze underneath him. In the meantime, Wright's got a good run on Greg Seitz down the backstretch, looking for a podium all the way up to the wall, trying the high side, but it opens the door for his rival. And the 26 of Roofs looks like he might snatch that spot.
Aaron Roofs just on an absolutely mega run here today, really putting the car through its paces. You see him there trying to go to the inside of Adam Wright. He's got the line if he can keep it, but Wright's going to fight back. A little bit more speed on the outside line as they dive into 3.
Aaron Roofs now gets P4 away from Adam Wright. Can he go run down Greg Seitz? This all has worked out beautifully for Declan Edie. He's got half a second over Nguyen. Not challenging him, and then back beyond that, it's nearly a 2nd to 3rd place Greg Seitz. I really am curious what happened, and Roof's going to lose out to Wright. Wright is up down on the bottom side, rather. Somehow managed to get his nose in and is trying to take the spot back. It doesn't seem to be there. Oh, there's a car, very slow car. That's Collender.
He almost got into the back of our leaders as well as they were battling up front. And there you see now Guyon really starting to put the pressure onto Adam Wright. Is he going to be able to try to get a move, get that 5th place position back? And look at that behind him. They're bringing Lucio Vargas along with them as well. This battle really heating up.
Vargas from 7th thinking I could have a couple spots here in these last few minutes. We have less than 4 minutes to go on the clock. Edie still leads, but Nguyen is closing it down. He has got the speed. The number 97 has brought himself into the mix for the victory. We ride on board with the Canadian now.
And up ahead of them, that is Daniel Barnett and Sean Duhamel, both lapped cars. Are they going to be a fly in the ointment here for Declan Edie? There you see Barnett getting up and out of the way. Oh, he may be slightly in the way. No, he's going to stay nice and up there. That's going to be a real sigh of relief for Frank Nguyen. Nguyen loses a couple of car lengths back to Edie. He was up right behind his gearbox, but they're going to cross the line here with just over 3 minutes to go.
We are through the proverbial looking glass. If we get a caution from here, that is going to be it. Saw some stuff from Roofs on the radio. Oh, that lap traffic is just nightmarish for him. It was Daniel Barnett this time. I'm starting to think the stewards might need to call in some of these cars who are not running competitive paces.
Yeah, it's getting real dicey in there. You see that Sean Duhamel, I mentioned him earlier. No one does a good job to stay out of his way. He's going to resume the attack on Our leader, Declan Eady, really starting to put the pressure on here. He has that car working so much better, Joe. He is able to take a bite into the corner and carry more speed out of it. Just absolutely flawless for Nguyen.
Ooh, Frank was awful close to the exit of 4, trying to use as much of that corner as he can, having to stay low off of 1 due to the lap traffic. They got one more. This is Nunez. He's giving them instructions to stay low. Let's see, 2 minutes left on the clock now as they come across the line. Declan Eady doing everything he can to keep Frank Nguyen from stealing this one away. We got a caution. That's right in front of the leaders. That was David Hebert. Everybody behind him trying to avoid.
I couldn't see exactly what happened. I was keeping an eye on that onboard of Nguyen, but it looked like Hebert may have tangled with another car. You see him crabbing across the backstretch there. So this is Hebert. He's going to be coming down the front stretch right here. Dives the car into turn 1. Let's see what happens. Oh, just caught himself a foul of that. Big slap from the car behind him, and the leader's able to get by and on through safely.
And that car that hit him, that was Verity. Unfortunately, major damage there you see for Hebert. Now Verity, you know what? Netcode may have saved him. Here's the onboard. At first, it looks like some real damage, and then the wing is back.
The Netcode
However,
the Netcode taketh away.
however, this ends it. We have 40 seconds left on the clock, and Declan Eady looks to be our winner here today. As long as he has enough fuel to make it to the end. Those last couple of stints were the only real long green flag running we had. Everything else just came in 1 or 2 lap spurts. Eady has timed his attack on Greg Seitz to perfection.
Obviously, a very stop and start race there. A little bit, I think, frustrating for a lot of these drivers out front that just wanted to go, but all kudos go to Declan Eady here. He was able to do that and weave his way through traffic to keep Frank Nguyen, a charging Frank Nguyen, behind him and hold on for this victory here today.
Clock is at 0. So does this mean we'll see the checkered flag this time, guys? Things can get a little bit screwy, unfortunately, especially on the oval side with these cautions if it is a timed race. So let's keep an eye on things, see if we get that checkered flag as they come across. And Declan Eady's saying they're getting the white flag. So let's see. Yep, white flag this time by, not the checkers. So one more time around, we'll have completed 74 laps in today's race compared to the 120 that they were trying to complete for a full race. Nguyen's going to get a handful of points to help him up the order, that is for sure. How about the AM of Adam Wright, though? The number 87. Where was he in the AM Drivers' Championship? I'm trying to find him. In fact, I don't see him in that championship currently. No, there he is. Oh, wow. He's down in 17th. This 5th place is going to just shoot him up the order for sure. Adam Wright running wonderfully out here at Phoenix. Could have been a little bit higher potentially, as he was fighting hard at the end, looking for a potential podium. The top of that podium is Declan Eady. Victory in round 3 for the PRL Indy Pro 2000 series. And Declan Eady comes across the line, unfortunately under caution, but a win is a win. We're going to take a quick break here on the... Now, are we actually getting the checkered flag here? Now, Declan Eady is confused as well. He's saying he's just going to drive to the line. Let's hold on. See if we called a little... There's the checkered flag now on our timing and scoring. That it doesn't always mean that it is officially over.
Yeah, we've seen this being one of the quirks of the iRacing system, sometimes coming under yellow to the checkered. It sounds like all the drivers are getting the official checkered signal, so I think this may be it.
Pace car is in. Let's see if anybody goes. Now, Edie is taking it very slow, and everybody's following him very slow. We're not getting a call for a green. And now we're hearing that it is officially over for today. There we go. Declan Edie now accelerating around. Crisis averted. We are definitely going to take a short break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Stick around because we will have driver interviews as well as the unofficial results coming your way. Welcome back to Phoenix Raceway. It was a bit of a slow race today, if we take it literally. But Declan Edie probably doesn't care too much as long as he's managed to take the win, which he did from fourth on the grid. Frank Nguyen was up there and vying for top spots, took the pole position, but just couldn't time things right to be where he needed to be when the checkered flag fell. Aaron Roofs from 10th to 3rd. Greg Seitz, who looked like the man to beat for much of the race, suddenly lost the lead to Edie, and then from there just was kind of nowhere, and he wound up 4th. Adam Wright, our winner in the AM race here today, finished 5th overall and qualified 3rd. Boy, he is going to be one to watch out for in other oval races later on. Alex Gaillon was 6th, with Lucio Vargas going from 20th to 7th. Claude Remillard will finish 8th today, and Julio Palacio 9th, with Brett Thurman rounding out your top 10.
Brian Hotham able to bring the car home on the lead lap in 11th, followed by Takashi Keita. We saw him challenging farther up the field, a little bit of damage to that car of Keita's. 13th was Sammy Bridges and Christopher Richards in 14th, Barry Cochran in 15th, Donald Olsen 16th, Owen McLaughlin in 17th, and then Stephen Verity a lap down. That fuel strategy not working out for him in 18th. David Menino 2 laps down, and Tyler Gore 2 laps down as well in 20th.
Neil Alexander 3 laps down to 21st, followed by Nunez in 22nd. David A. Bear 23rd, and Olivier Legault 24th. Then from here, you start to get to drivers that had serious issues. Wildridge 25th and Duhamel 26th. He was 7 laps down. From there, it is DNFs for the day, all the way to 38th with Adam Helm. Our driver to take the win was the number 13 of Declan Edie. Declan, it feels like that pass for the lead wound up being a critical move. How about that race? My goodness.
I mean, I got the sense from the other Phoenix races and the other oval races that we've had that it was going to be a bit of a long haul. But, I managed to line up sights on the exit at 2 and just, I guess, got the run, got him into 3 and 4, held on to it. Of course, the caution came out a half lap later, so I just held on to that all the way through until Frank was catching up to me near the end there. So that was keeping me honest, at least.
It really was. It looked like the lap traffic as well became something of a headache towards the end. Do you think if you got caught at the wrong point that Frank could have had a potential run on you with all that lap traffic?
Oh, for sure. I mean, look, that he obviously had a very fast car, so he was able to run me back down after I kind of pulled ahead. So how it tends to go in these oval races is you get unlucky with one bit of traffic and the guy's right at your gearbox, and then you're defending and battling and the third guy gets pulled in, and that's what we're hoping to deliver to you guys and to everyone at home watching. That's what we're trying to show you guys, how well we can race each other.
Well, and understanding that, and we know you guys usually put on a fantastic show. I mean, do you have any things in mind that you want to talk to the organizers about after today's race? Phoenix has been a little bit snake bit so far every time we visited.
Yeah, I mean, if I have a couple things in mind, but I don't think it'd be good of me to air them out here. I think I might shoot a PM to the organizers and pitch some things, but I don't know.
Totally understandable.
It's a bit frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, better to go through the proper channels. Regardless, Declan, congratulations on the first victory of the season for you, and look forward to seeing you next round over at VIR.
Yeah, looking forward to that too. Thanks for the broadcast, guys. Thanks for PRL to putting this together. So take it easy, guys.
There's Declan Eady, winner here today. And up next, DJ's caught up with Frank Nguyen.
Frank, you started on pole, dropped back through the field a little bit as the race went along, but then put up one heck of a challenge to Declan Eady. Talk us through that, carving up through the field like that.
Yeah, my set I had today was working really well. It's a shame we didn't get too much more green flag running to really show it off. In retrospect, I guess I shouldn't have been so passive on the race start. Everyone wants to take it easy on the first few laps, and I didn't want to be that guy to spin out in front of everyone and ruin the race. So, yeah, it was plenty fun making my way back up there, and Declan really made me work hard to keep up. So, yeah, shame we couldn't finish on the green, but I had a great car, and I'm still really happy with my finish today.
Well, I think it was a heck of a finish, and I was watching on board with you chasing down Declan, and it was just absolutely electric seeing what you could do. But I have to ask, as a driver in the cockpit, when you're seeing just yellow after yellow after yellow like that, how hard is it to stay in the sort of attack mindset when it's stop-start all the time?
Yeah, for me personally, it's really difficult to get into a rhythm when it's like start stop cautions after one or two laps of green. I prefer, and I guess everyone does, long green flag stints, just so I can get into the rhythm, get comfortable, and feel out my car. And I still had good restarts on the green. I think I just had to keep myself calm. I had to realize that this is part of racing, so I had to get into that mindset.
I understand that completely. Well, the series heads to a little bit of a different track in VIR next week. How do you like your chances around the very twisty Virginia hillside?
It's actually going to be my very first time racing there, so we'll see. I'm primarily a road guy, but I in the official races I try to be up there. Probably not as fast as Greg Seitz there, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll definitely put in a lot of hours into practice, see where my pace is at, and then we'll go from there.
Well, we'll be watching for you. Frank, congratulations again. Before we let you go, anybody you need to thank tonight?
Oh yeah, I want to thank all my friends on Discord who might have tuned in. Also my sponsor, Your Gunner, the game in development passion project made by two guys, party-based RPG cyberpunk theme. If that interests you, you can check out their Twitter at Eurogon Games. And yeah, also I want to thank VRS, providing the telemetry software. It's been a great help for me this past year getting into sim racing. And yeah.
Well, congratulations again, Frank, on a well-deserved second place. And now Joe Peak has caught up with our third place finisher, Aaron Roofs.
Yes, Aaron managed to get a podium from 10th on the grid, but it definitely included some scary moments. I did see early one of the cautions that appears you narrowly avoided a car spinning in front of you through 3 and 4.
Yeah, that race was it was like a sleeper, and then had those moments like that where you had to be on your toes. It was quite a fight to get there from 10th, that's for sure. I know I was pushing the restarts when it got, maybe half hour left in the race and stuff. Kind of time is winding down.
Something we didn't get to ask the other two podium finishers that I'm kind of curious about is you and most of the other rest of the front half of the field did not pit. Did you know kind of from the start, were you thinking, okay, I'm not going to come in just in case we get this many cautions?
We always hope a race goes, green or majority green, so you can have that pitting play a part of the strategy and stuff. But after, I think, the third caution, you kind of think, well, there's no need to pit. The tire wear was nothing, and so it's kind of like, I didn't even think about it after about the third caution. I'm just like, I'm staying out regardless.
Obviously, this oval has been difficult for a lot of drivers. If there was another of the ovals you'd like to see this Indy Pro 2000 head towards, which one would be top of your list?
Oh man, I don't know. We've gone to what Lucas track. We've gone Phoenix, Richmond. I wonder how Dover actually. I'm kind of fond of Dover. Would be a interesting experiment.
That is for sure. It'd be very fast, I imagine. I like your ambition, Aaron. Well, again, congratulations on a podium today, and hopefully we'll get to see you out in Virginia.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Was Aaron Roofs taking a third here in Phoenix, and that's going to wrap up our interview. So we are going to give a big thank you to our sponsors, of course, starting with Simulation Motorsports Affinity. They can be found at SIMMSA.net if you want to get involved with the world of sim racing. And then there is NinjaTrader. If you want to try their services, you can find them at NinjaTrader.com. And finally, for all of our sim racing enthusiasts, to improve your rig, go to the Butt Kicker. TheButtKicker.com is where their website is located. Thanks to companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast. We've listed them on your screen, along with additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides all our wonderful music. Her Bandcamp is there for you, and she is on her way to delivering a new album pretty soon here. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or check out our social media, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. As we mentioned, VIR for the next round, so hopefully won't see as many DNFs, but it's going to be a very tough track to run and highly technical circuit. That'll be Thursday, January 21st at 9 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.